Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Red Steak. So, Chris Paul scored 41 points last night, and 31 of it was all in the second half. What an amazing performance by CP3. Congrats to the Suns for winning the winning the chip. Congrats. No, wait a minute. If you're just listening, are you thinking, wait, doesn't he mean Western Conference Finals? No, I mean the actual chip, the actual title. That's right. I know we don't even know who's emerging from the Eastern Conference Finals, but you can pencil in the Sun as the champions. Unless Booker gets injured or Chris Paul gets injured again. Because injuries are a thing at this whole playoffs. So that happens. But assuming the Suns stay healthy, they will win it. Now let's say the Bucks advance. If they somehow advance without Giannis, there's no way they can compete with the Suns without Giannis. But let's say if Giannis plays, well, he's going to be playing on one leg. He's not going to be 100% in a week. Now he could play. He could be ready to play in a week, but he might be like 50%, 60%. And as you see with players, Chris Paul, who was out, came back a little bit rusty. Mike Conley, who was out for the whole series except for Game 6 against the Clippers, came back a little bit rusty. So he won't be back fully the same. And because with Giannis specifically, he relies on his athleticism. If he's on one leg, he's just forced to take jump shots, and Giannis is not good at taking jump shots, making them consistently. So therefore, it hinders the Bucks' chances of winning. Now let's say the Hawks win it. Now I think Trae Young will be back sooner, probably rather than Giannis, in my opinion. So I think he'd be back for the finals. If he's not back for the finals, same scenario like Giannis, the Hawks will automatically lose. But let's say Trae Young comes back and he's healthy enough. Again, not 100%, but he's going to probably be more, hopefully, 75, 80% more healthy than Giannis. Well, whether he's healthy or not, there is no way he can play like a superstar for at least 4 games of the series, if not more. Because that's what's going to take for the Hawks as a 5 seed to upset the Suns, who had the second best record overall in the NBA. This kind of reminds me of that Lakers Heat series last year. We were all shocked that the Heat actually won 2 games in that series. Thought maybe they can get one, but this should be a sweep. 2 top 5, 10 players on one team. And then Goran Dragic was injured and Adebayo was hurt. It just made sense, for the Lakers to kind of sweep them. Now it didn't happen that way, but that's what I kind of expect here, is that the Suns, whether Trae Young's healthy or not, the Suns are just way better than the Hawks. And they play, good defense. I would say better defense than the Bucks. They have a good roster. And so do the Bucks, but obviously the Suns are a little bit better. And they're all stars. I feel like when Devin Booker and CP3 is a better combination than Giannis and Chris Middleton, usually. So you heard right here, folks. I think the Suns will win this finals in 5 games, because whether it's Giannis or Trae Young, they're both super talented, where they can get you a win. Like the Heat last year, with the way Jimmy Butler's playing, he can get you a win, which he literally did. But I don't see them being a competitive series. So a gentleman's sweep is what I'm predicting. Congrats to Chris Paul, finally getting to the finals, and now you're most likely going to win it. Now, Paul George, after the game, was asked if they would have Kawhi, do they advance to the finals? He said they would. He said yes to that question, and they basically win the finals with him. Now, he's not wrong here. Looking back, I can now say the Clippers with Kawhi would have won this series against the Suns, either in a sweep or gentleman's sweep, the way the Suns are playing. Because Chris Paul was out for 2 games, with both those games being close. You add in Kawhi, it's most likely will win. And then even when Chris Paul came back, he wasn't himself until last night. So therefore, I would say, the Clippers would have advanced. So he's not wrong here. However, just because his statement was correct does not mean he should have said that. And here are 2 reasons why. The first reason, when you say comments like this, you come across as a not a sore loser, because Paul George wasn't acting like a sore loser. That's the pressure I got from him. Well, sometimes that's what it can mean. But in this case, it's more the just excuse, play with excuses. It's as a player, it's like excuses, schmuses. You gotta win. That's not a good look for an all-star right there. And Paul George, for the most part, has been playing well this playoffs. So that's kind of a clunker of a comment to say. Now, I appreciate Paul George for, always going to media, win or lose, and he's a nice guy and all that, but That's not the comment I would say. If I were Paul George, I would have just said, well, we didn't have Kawhi, so there's no point in pondering on the what ifs. We didn't have him, we didn't get it done. That's a better response right there. But the other reason why I didn't like this, because with all the star players being injured, you just have to find a way to overcome it. CP3 was injured for the first couple games in the Lakers Sun series, and then he missed 2 games due to COVID. And then obviously it was 100% when he first came back until recently. So the Suns and CP3 had to overcome that to get to this point. Also, with injuries defying these playoffs, if you think Mitchell and Mike Conley were 100% healthy all series for the Jazz, I mean, I wouldn't say the Clippers automatically win this series. They were down 0-2 when Mike Conley wasn't playing. So imagine Mike Conley and Donovan Mitchell 100%. I feel like, yeah, the Jazz would probably win that. I would automatically say Clippers win that. So therefore, it's easy to say, well, if we had a best player, we would have won. It's like, I don't give a care. You still sucked in clutch situations, whether with Kawhi or without Kawhi. If you could have figured that problem out, well, then you would be in the finals. But you didn't. So don't blame Kawhi's injury. You can blame yourself. And as a team, blame yourself. Now, real quick, a lot of people have mixed feelings on what Patrick Beverley did to Chris Paul at the end of the game. Some say it's just who he is, so it's no surprise. And others say, oh, it's a disgrace and there should be some type of penalty for it, like suspension. I think both sides are correct here. Yeah, it's a cop-out to say both sides are correct, but it's true. We all know Beverly's style of play by now, and I do feel there should be some type of punishment. Now, if CP3 was look at him and they were, like, getting at it, and then he pushed him, that's one thing, but to push him right back, that's a cheap shot. That's not what you do. So, like I said, we shall see what happens, but if anything happens. But, I mean, you're trying to build a winning culture here in the Clippers. You finally got to the conference finals for the first time ever. You want to set the right culture, win or lose, and that's not the right culture there. You're being an idiot. So now the Clippers are out, so now as I do know with all the teams that lose in the playoffs, I'm going to go ahead and go over what they can do to improve for next season and try to win a title. I think the Clippers should personally run it back. I mean, I guess not personally, I guess logically, because personally I like Kawhi to, go to my favorite team, whether it's, Arizona or Jazz or Mavs, because that's my top 3 favorites. I personally like that, but logical-wise, Kawhi should stay with the Clippers. And then they should also re-sign Nicholas Batum and DeMarcus Cousins. Now, Reggie Jackson's an interesting piece here, because he's going to be a free agent. And he talked about it to the press last night. He's like, he was very tearful, grateful for the Clippers and all that. And he would love to be a Clipper for life. Like, he just doesn't know what the future holds, And because he's only getting paid $2 million, he's going to be due for a heavy payday. Like, I feel like next season he should be making at least $10 million, if not more, for what he did in this playoffs. So therefore, I don't think the Clippers will be able to contain him. I think they'll have to go find someone else. Whether it's a Spencer Dinwiddie or Schroeder or whatever type of thing. They'll just go find someone else. Most likely. Now, if they could somehow keep Reggie Jackson, then bam, and everyone's back together like Batum and Cousins, and bam, I have you most likely as title favorites. Now, here, by having Ty Lue's great coach and all that, there's still one thing that you must improve on going to next season, whether people are coming back or not. You have to fix the clutch game situations, and we give Ty Lue his flowers and all that. But even as great of a coach as Ty Lue is, he couldn't even figure out the clutch situations, or a mess for the Clippers, if you will. So the Clippers, if you can fix that situation once and for all, then you can finally be the favorites. So now, starting today, college players can make money off their name, image, likeness, and so on. And a lot of people, have mixed feelings about this, because there's definitely some pros and cons to it. But overall, I feel like this is a good move for college, or the college sports in general. Specifically, this is going to be more on college football since that's the most popular sport of the college sports. But I feel like if you're if you're the starting pitch, for the Mississippi State Bulldogs, basically, you just won the World Series. You're gonna get some money thrown your way. But it's mostly focused on football, I feel like. But anyways, I think this is a good thing because this can help kind of even the recruitment field. Because now you may say, well, teams, like Alabama, they may even be able to get more recruits there, because it's a good program and all that. But you kind of also have to think if situation and place and all that. For example, if you're in places like going to college, like in New York or LA or Miami, or Philly or like something like that. There's a lot, big markets out there, so therefore there's going to be a lot of different colleges, or no, institutions. I meant that would want to pay a college player for their name, image, likeness, and that doesn't have to necessarily limit to geographical locations. Like, for example, the SEC, they're always going to get good players because a lot of players are from the South. But they're like, well, if I go to LA versus staying here in, I don't know, Oxford, Mississippi, then I can make a lot more money off myself playing LA than Oxford, Mississippi. And not only that, but if USC recently, if you're them happen to be good at the time or about to be good, then you can go to a situation instead of staying in the South in Oxford where there's not a lot of big businesses down there, compared to LA or Seattle or New York, whatever. So I feel like it could help even recruit the playing field because besides California, a lot of the good players are in the South or somewhat Midwest, but mostly the South. So I feel like this will help college football specifically and a lot of college sports in general. I feel like it'd be good. There's definitely gonna be some kinks, all there usually is when you do something for the first time, So we'll kind of see how this plays out. But I feel like I said, this will be good for college in general, specifically college football. Thank you very much for listening to my podcast today. Please subscribe to my channel and tell one about me. Thank you very much. Y'all have a wonderful day.